My name is Layla, and I am 61 years old. I have been a widow for 8 years now, living alone in a small town in Tennessee. Every Friday for the past 30 years, I bought a lottery ticket. It was just a simple habit, nothing more. Last week I won $6 million. I thought it was a blessing. But that money revealed the true faces of those I loved most. Looking down at my broken arm in this cast, I still remember the moment my daughter-in-law pushed me down the stairs. Before I share what happened, let me know where you are watching from today. Hit that like button and subscribe if you have ever been hurt by the people you trusted most. Because what they did next at the bank will shock you. For 35 years, I dedicated my life to helping others as a nurse at our local hospital. I started when I was just 23, fresh out of nursing school, full of dreams and hope. The work was hard, the hours were long, but I loved every moment of it. There is something sacred about being there for people during their most vulnerable moments. I held hands of patients taking their last breaths. I celebrated with new mothers holding their babies for the first time. That job taught me about the true nature of human beings. I retired 3 years ago when my knees started giving out. All those years of standing, walking, running through hospital corridors had taken their toll. But I have no regrets. I lived a life of purpose. My husband Eugene passed away 8 years ago from cancer. We had 32 beautiful years together. He was a mechanic, owned his own shop downtown, hard-working man with gentle hands and a kind heart. When the doctor told us the cancer had spread too far, Eugene held my hand and told me not to worry. That was just like him thinking about me even when he was the one dying. After he passed, I sold his shop. Could not bear to see it without him there. The money from the sale combined with my pension and savings was enough to live comfortably. Not rich by any means, but I never had to worry about paying bills or buying groceries. Our little 2-bedroom house was paid off. I had my vegetable garden in the backyard, my morning coffee on the porch, and my Friday trips to Miller's convenience store 3 miles down the road. That is where I bought my lottery tickets. Old habit from when Eugene was alive. He loved playing the numbers. After he died, I kept buying tickets as a way to feel close to him. Every Friday, same routine. Drive to Miller's, buy 1 ticket, maybe chat with Mr. Miller about the weather or local news, then drive home. I never expected to win. That was not the point. My neighbor Nancy has been a blessing these past years. She moved in next door about 6 years ago after her divorce. We became fast friends. She would come over for coffee, help me with the heavy gardening work, check on me when I was sick. Real friendship. The kind that does not ask for anything in return. Now about my son Derek. He is 38 years old, my only child. When he was born, I thought my heart would burst from so much love. Eugene and I gave him everything we could. Maybe that was our mistake. We wanted him to have what we did not have growing up. Both Eugene and I came from poor families. We worked hard for everything we got. But Derek, he never had to struggle the way we did. He did not go to college, said it was not for him. Tried different jobs over the years, worked at a warehouse for a while, then a restaurant, then a car wash. Finally ended up selling cars at a dealership across town. It was steady work, decent pay, but Derek always had trouble managing money. Credit card debt piled up. He would spend before he earned, buy things he did not need, live beyond his means. Eugene worried about it before he died. Told me once that we might have made Derek too soft by giving him too much. I did not want to believe it then. What mother wants to admit her child has flaws? After Eugene passed, Derek started coming to me for money more often. Just a few hundred here and there at first. Then it became thousands. Car payments he could not make, rent he fell behind on, credit card bills that had grown out of control. Over the past 8 years, I have given Derek close to $80,000. Not loans, gifts, because he never paid back a single cent despite all his promises. Then Tiffany came into the picture. Derek met her 6 years ago at some party. She was 35 now, beautiful in that polished way, always dressed nicely, nails, always done hair, always perfect. When Derek first brought her to meet me, I could tell she came from money, or at least she was used to having money. I learned later that her family had been wealthy once. Her father made a fortune in real estate, but then lost it all on bad investments. Went bankrupt when Tiffany was in her 20s. But she never adjusted to life without money. She still wanted the big house, the nice car, the expensive vacations. She just expected someone else to provide them. At first, Tiffany was sweet to me, called me Mom, brought me flowers, complimented my cooking. I wanted to like her for Derek's sake, but after the wedding things changed. The sweetness faded. She stopped pretending. I will never forget what she said one Thanksgiving right in front of me talking to Derek like I was not even there. She said, "Your mother lives alone in that house. Why does she need all that space? She should sell it and share the money with us." I felt like I had been slapped. Derek did not defend me. He just shrugged and changed the subject. They had Marcus 10 years ago, my grandson. That boy is the light of my life. Quiet, thoughtful kind. I see Eugene in his eyes sometimes. But Tiffany made it hard for me to see him. Always had excuses. Marcus has homework. Marcus is sick. We have plans. I was lucky to see my grandson a few times a year. Every Friday night after buying my ticket, I would sit in my living room and look at Eugene's picture on the wall. Our wedding photo, both of us so young and full of hope. I would talk to him sometimes, tell him about my day, about Derek, about missing him. I would say Derek is still our son. He is just lost right now. He will find his way. I did not know then how lost he truly was, or how dark the path he would choose to walk. That Saturday morning started like any other. I woke up at 6, made my coffee, sat on the porch watching the sunrise. Tennessee mornings in autumn have a particular beauty. The mist rising from the fields, the leaves turning gold and red, the quiet stillness before the world wakes up. After breakfast, I remembered the lottery ticket in my purse. I had bought it the day before at Miller's, same as always. I pulled it out and turned on the television to check the numbers. The morning news was showing the winning combination from last night's drawing. I looked at my ticket, looked at the screen, looked at my ticket again. My hands started shaking. I could not breathe properly. 6 numbers, all 6 numbers matched. I sat down because my legs would not hold me anymore. $6 million, the jackpot. I had won the jackpot. For a long moment, I just sat there staring at the ticket like it might disappear if I looked away. 30 years of buying tickets every single Friday. 30 years of never winning more than $20 here or there. And now this. The first person I called was my sister Lorraine. She lives in Nashville, about 2 hours away. She is 58, retired lawyer, sharp as a tack. We have always been close, but life gets busy and we do not see each other as often as we should. Lorraine screamed when I told her. Actually screamed into the phone. I had to hold it away from my ear. She was laughing and crying at the same time, asking if I was sure, telling me to check again. When I confirmed it, she got serious real fast. "Layla, listen to me," she said. "Do not tell anyone else yet. Not anyone. We need to think about this carefully. There are things you need to do to protect yourself. But I am going to tell Derek," I said. "He is my son." Lorraine was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Just wait a few days. Please, let me come up there. We need to make a plan." But I did not listen. Sunday morning I called Derek. I was too excited, too happy to keep this news from my only child. Whatever problems we had, he was still my son. I wanted to share this moment with him. His voice changed the second I mentioned the amount. $6 million. I heard him suck in his breath, heard the shift in his tone from casual to intense. $6 million, he repeated. "Mom, are you serious? $6 million? In the background, I heard Tiffany's voice, sharp and demanding. "What?" How much, she was asking Derek questions, and I could hear him repeating what I said. $6 million. Mom won $6 million in the lottery. Then Tiffany was on the phone, her voice dripping with sudden sweetness. "Oh my goodness, Mom, that is incredible. I am so happy for you. This is such wonderful news. We should celebrate." Derek got back on the line. "Mom, what are you going to do with the money?" I told him I had not decided yet. I needed time to think about it, make a plan. "We should come over today," Derek said. "We need to talk about this. Family should stick together, right? We will be there this afternoon." I agreed, happy that he wanted to see me. It had been weeks since his last visit. They arrived around 3 o'clock. Derek, Tiffany, and Marcus. Tiffany hugged me the moment she walked through the door, something she had not done in years. She complimented my house, my garden, my dress. So many compliments I lost count. We sat down for dinner. I had made pot roast, Derek's favorite from when he was a boy. For a few minutes it almost felt like a normal family gathering. Marcus talked about school. Derek asked about my garden. But then the conversation turned. Tiffany started talking about their financial troubles, how they were drowning in debt. Credit cards, car payments, their mortgage. She threw out a number, $200,000. That is how much they owed. Derek nodded along, looking at me with those pleading eyes I knew so well. "It has been really hard, Mom," he said. "You know how it is. The economy, the job market. We have been struggling." Tiffany leaned forward. She spoke like she was making a business proposal. "You have $6 million now, Mom. If you gave us just $1 million, it would change our lives completely. We could pay off everything, get a fresh start, and you would still have $5 million left. That is more than enough for one person." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. The way she said it. $1 million. Like she was asking for spare change. Like it was already hers and I was just holding on to it temporarily. I told them I needed time to think. I had not even claimed the money yet. There were things I needed to figure out. Tiffany's expression changed instantly. The sweetness vanished like it had never been there. Her eyes went hard. "You are not going to keep it all for yourself, are you? Derek is your only son. What about your grandson? Do you not care about Marcus's future?" I tried to explain that caring about them did not mean handing over whatever they demanded. But Tiffany was not interested in explanations. She stood up so abruptly, her chair scraped against the floor. "Derek, we are leaving." She did not look at me when she said it. Marcus looked confused and scared. He gave me a small wave as they walked out the door. That little wave broke my heart more than anything Tiffany said. At the door, Tiffany turned back one last time. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You will regret this decision." Then they were gone. The phone calls started the next day. Derek calling again and again, always circling back to the money. He would start soft, telling me how much he loved me, how much he appreciated everything I had done for him over the years. But within minutes, the conversation would shift to their debts, their struggles, their needs. Tiffany sent text messages, long ones. She listed everything they needed the money for: paying off debt, buying a new house in a better neighborhood, getting a new car because theirs was falling apart, starting a college fund for Marcus. At the end of one message, she wrote something that stayed with me for days. "You owe Derek a better life. You did not give him enough when he was young. Now you can make it right." I read that message over and over. Did I not give him enough? I gave him everything I had. Eugene and I both did. We sacrificed vacations, new clothes, nights out, all so Derek could have the things he wanted. And now I was being told it was not enough. I called Lorraine crying. She listened without interrupting, then said what I needed to hear. "Layla, you do not owe anyone anything. That money is yours. You earned it by playing those numbers for 30 years. Anyone who makes you feel guilty for not giving it away does not have your best interests at heart." She told me she would drive up the following week, said we needed to talk about protecting my assets. I did not fully understand what she meant at the time, but I would soon. A few days later, Derek asked me to meet him for lunch, said he wanted to apologize for how things went at my house, wanted to talk calmly, just the two of us. I should have known better. When I arrived at the restaurant, Tiffany was sitting right next to him. Derek looked at me sheepishly, like a child caught in a lie. I wanted to turn around and leave, but I sat down anyway. Maybe I was still hoping we could work things out. Tiffany had come prepared. She pulled out papers from her purse, a budget she had written up showing exactly how they would spend the money they were asking for. $2 million now, she said. Not $1 million like before. $2 million. I asked why the amount had increased. She smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. "Inflation," she said. "And we have thought about it more. $2 million is fair considering you will inherit everything when you pass anyway. Why not give it now when we actually need it?" Derek nodded along like a puppet. He did not say a word in his own voice the entire lunch. I told them no. I said I would help them reasonably, maybe pay off some specific debts, but I was not handing over millions of dollars. Tiffany slammed her palm on the table. The people at nearby tables turned to stare. Her face was red with anger. "You are the most selfish woman I have ever met," she hissed. "Your own son is drowning and you would rather watch him suffer than share your luck." I stood up. I put money on the table to cover my meal and walked out. Behind me I heard Tiffany say loud enough for everyone to hear, "She will change her mind. She does not have a choice." A few days later, Nancy came over looking concerned. She told me she had seen Tiffany driving slowly past my house the day before, and not just driving past. She had stopped, gotten out, and walked around the property. Nancy saw her looking through windows and taking photos with her phone. My blood went cold. What was she doing? Planning something. I called Derek and asked about it. He dismissed it immediately. "Tiffany just misses you, Mom. She wanted to see if you were home. You are reading too much into this." But I knew what I heard in his voice. Nervousness. He was lying to me, his own mother. Lorraine arrived 2 days later. She took one look at my face and knew things had gotten bad. We sat at my kitchen table, and I told her everything. The demands, the messages, the strange visit from Tiffany to my property. Lorraine's jaw tightened. "We need to act fast," she said. "You need to protect yourself legally and financially before they try something." She had already made calls before coming. A lawyer she trusted, a financial advisor who specialized in lottery winners. We were going to transfer the money into a trust, set up protections that would make it impossible for anyone to take it from me. She explained it all carefully, and I agreed to everything. We contacted the bank the next morning, spoke with Mr. Patterson, the branch manager. I had known him for 15 years, ever since he started at that bank as a young teller. He remembered Eugene, remembered me coming in with deposit slips from the hospital. We explained the situation. Mr. Patterson listened with growing concern. He agreed to help us set up the necessary protections. The money would go into an irrevocable trust. I would be the primary beneficiary. Lorraine would be the trustee. No one else could touch it. That evening I received a text from Tiffany. Just one line. "We are coming tomorrow night. Have the bank papers ready." She did not ask. She demanded. Like I was her employee, required to report to her. Lorraine looked at the message and shook her head. "Let them come," she said. "We will be ready." They showed up at 8 o'clock the next evening. No warning call, no knock. Tiffany just tried the front door. When she found it locked, she pounded on it like she was trying to break it down. I opened the door, and they pushed past me into the house. Derek and Tiffany. Marcus was not with them. They had left him with a babysitter, which told me this was not going to be a friendly visit. Tiffany walked into my living room like she owned the place. She looked around, then sat on my couch without being invited. Derek stood behind her, his face tight with tension. He would not meet my eyes. "Where is your sister?" Tiffany asked. "I know she has been here. Her car was outside yesterday. Lorraine had left that morning to handle some paperwork in Nashville. She would be back the next day. I did not tell Tiffany that. "She is not here," I said. "What do you want?" Tiffany pulled a folder from her bag. She spread papers across my coffee table. "Legal documents, or what looked like legal documents." She pushed them toward me. "Sign these," she said. "Power of attorney. It gives Derek the right to manage your finances. You are getting old, Mom. You need someone to help you make decisions." I looked at the papers without touching them. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from anger, from the sheer audacity of what they were asking. I am not signing anything, I said, and I am not old. I am 61 years old and perfectly capable of managing my own affairs. Tiffany stood up. She was taller than me, younger, stronger. She moved toward me, and I took a step back instinctively. "You do not understand," she said, her voice low and threatening. "This is not optional. Derek is your son. That money belongs to him. You are just holding it temporarily until you die anyway." "Why make this difficult?" Derek finally spoke. "Mom, please, just sign the papers. It will make everything easier. We will take care of you. You will not have to worry about anything." I looked at my son, really looked at him. This man I had raised, fed, clothed, loved unconditionally for 38 years. He was standing there asking me to sign away control of my life to his wife. He would not even look me in the eye. "No," I said. "Get out of my house." Tiffany's face contorted with rage. She grabbed my arm, her fingers digging into my skin. "You stupid old woman," she spat. "Do you know what you are throwing away? Do you know what we could do with that money?" I tried to pull away from her. "Let go of me," I said. "You are hurting me." But she did not let go. She pulled me toward the stairs, toward the front door, I could not tell which. Derek just stood there watching, not helping me, not stopping his wife, just watching. I stumbled. My foot caught on the edge of the rug, and then Tiffany pushed me. I felt myself falling. The stairs were right there. I tumbled down 3 steps, my arm hitting the railing at an angle that no arm should ever bend. I heard the crack before I felt the pain, a sound like a branch breaking. Then the agony hit me white hot, radiating from my forearm up to my shoulder. I screamed. I could not help it. The pain was unlike anything I had experienced before. Tiffany stood at the top of the stairs looking down at me. No concern on her face, no remorse, just cold calculation. "She fell," Tiffany said to Derek. "You saw it. She tripped and fell. That is what happened." Derek nodded slowly. His face had gone pale, but he did not come to help me. He just stood there agreeing with his wife's lie. The front door burst open. Nancy! She must have heard my scream from next door. She rushed in and saw me lying at the bottom of the stairs, clutching my arm, tears streaming down my face. "Oh my God! Layla!" She was at my side in seconds. "What happened?" She looked up at Derek and Tiffany. "What did you do to her?" Tiffany stepped forward. "This is a family matter. She fell. It was an accident." Nancy pulled out her phone. I heard her tell the operator the address, that there had been an injury, that she suspected assault. She stayed next to me the whole time, one hand on my shoulder, blocking Tiffany from getting any closer. The ambulance arrived in minutes. Then the police. Officer Thompson, a man I recognized from church, was one of the first through the door. Tiffany tried to leave before he could ask questions. "Family emergency," she said. "We need to go." Officer Thompson stopped her. "Nobody is going anywhere until I understand what happened here." I looked at my son while the paramedics examined my arm. Derek was staring at the floor. He still would not look at me. His own mother lying hurt on the floor because of his wife, and he could not even look at me. At the hospital, Dr. Simmons confirmed what I already knew. A clean break in my forearm. I would need a cast for at least 6 weeks. She asked how it happened, and I told her the truth. My daughter-in-law pushed me down the stairs because I would not give her money. The doctor's face hardened. She left the room and came back with Officer Thompson. He had more questions now. Detailed questions. I answered every single one honestly. I did not protect Derek. I did not make excuses for Tiffany. When he asked if I wanted to press charges, I thought about my son, about the baby I had held in my arms 38 years ago, about the boy who used to bring me dandelions from the yard because he thought they were flowers, about the man who stood by while his wife assaulted his own mother. "Yes," I said. "I want to press charges." Derek called me later that night while I was still in the hospital. He begged me to reconsider. He cried. He said Tiffany did not mean it, that she had a temper, but she was sorry that I was destroying their family. I asked him one question. "Did you try to stop her?" He was silent. "Did you help me when I was on the ground?" More silence. "Did you even check if I was okay?" He had no answer. "Then I have my answer too," I said. "Do not call me again until you are ready to take responsibility for what you both did." I hung up, and lying there in that hospital bed with my arm throbbing under the cast, I cried. Not from the pain in my arm, from the pain of losing my son. Because the Derek who stood in my house that night was not the son I raised. He was a stranger wearing my son's face. Lorraine arrived at the hospital that same night. She had driven 2 hours in the dark the moment I called her. She held my hand while I told her everything that happened. Her face went through several emotions: shock, anger, determination. "We need to move fast," she said. "If they are this desperate, they are not going to stop." She was right. Even from my hospital bed, I learned that Derek and Tiffany were not giving up. A nurse I knew from my working days pulled me aside the next morning. She looked uncomfortable, like she was about to share something she should not. "Someone called asking about you," she whispered. "Wanted to know about your mental state, whether you were competent, whether you might have dementia." I felt sick. They were trying to prove I was mentally unfit. If they could do that, they might be able to take control of my finances through the courts. Tiffany must have researched it. She was smarter than I gave her credit for. Lorraine was furious when I told her. "That is not going to happen," she said. "We need to finish what we started before they can make their next move." Over the next 2 days, while I recovered at home with Lorraine by my side, we put everything in place. The lottery winnings had been deposited into my account the week before. Now we transferred every cent into an irrevocable trust. The legal language was complicated, but Lorraine explained it simply. No one could touch this money except me and her. Not Derek, not Tiffany, not any court, unless there was evidence of criminal activity on our part, which there was not. We added a special clause. If any named beneficiary engaged in violence threats or coercion to obtain funds, they would be automatically excluded from any inheritance, forever. Derek and Tiffany were specifically named in the exclusion clause. Then I wrote a new will. The old one had left everything to Derek. The new one was different. I allocated funds for charity, specifically a scholarship fund for nursing students at the local community college. I set aside money for Marcus to be held in trust until he turned 25, enough to pay for college and give him a start in life. Derek and Tiffany were not mentioned in the will at all. Mr. Patterson helped us coordinate with the bank. He understood the situation now. If Derek or Tiffany showed up asking for access to any accounts, the staff was instructed to contact the police immediately. They had photos of both of them from social media printed and kept at every teller station. On the third day after the attack, Lorraine and I were sitting in my living room when my phone buzzed. A text from Tiffany. "We are going to the bank tomorrow morning. We will handle the money situation ourselves since you are clearly incapable of managing it. Do not try to stop us." Lorraine read the message over my shoulder. She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Let them try," she said. "They have no idea what is waiting for them." I did not sleep well that night. Part of me still could not believe this was happening. My own son trying to steal from me. My own daughter-in-law who had broken my arm and was now acting like she had done nothing wrong. How did we get here? But another part of me felt something unexpected. Strength. I had spent so many years bending over backward for Derek, giving him money I could not afford, making excuses for his behavior, hoping he would change, grow up, become the man I knew he could be. No more. The next morning I got a call from Mr. Patterson. His voice was carefully professional, but I could hear something underneath it. Satisfaction, maybe. Or justice. "They were just here," he said. "Derek and Tiffany. They had some paperwork they claimed gave them access to your accounts. It was fake, of course. Poorly forged." I asked what happened. He paused. "When I informed them that all your funds had been transferred to an irrevocable trust and that they had no legal access to any of your money." Mrs. Tiffany became extremely agitated. She started shouting in the middle of the bank, caused quite a scene, and then Officer Thompson arrived, he said. There was a warrant for her arrest, assault causing bodily harm to a senior citizen. She was handcuffed right there in our lobby. I closed my eyes. Part of me expected to feel triumphant, vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired, sad. My daughter-in-law arrested in a bank lobby. My son watching his wife taken away in handcuffs. "What about Derek?" I asked. Mr. Patterson hesitated. He did not interfere with the arrest, if that is what you are asking. He just stood there. He looked like he was in shock. After I hung up, Lorraine asked how I felt. I thought about it for a long time before answering. "I do not feel good," I said. "I did not do this to hurt them. I did it to protect myself. But it does not feel like winning. It feels like losing something I will never get back." Lorraine nodded. She understood. This was not a victory. It was a necessary defense, and the cost of that defense was my relationship with my only child. At least for now. Maybe forever. The weeks that followed were a blur of legal proceedings and painful truths. Tiffany was charged with assault causing bodily injury to a person over 60 years old. In Tennessee, that is a felony with enhanced penalties. Her lawyer tried to negotiate a plea deal claiming it was an accident that I had fallen on my own. But Nancy's testimony as an eyewitness was powerful. She had heard the argument. She had seen me on the ground with Tiffany standing over me showing no concern. I refused every offer of settlement. I was not doing this for money. I had enough money now. I was doing it because what Tiffany did was wrong, and I would not let her escape the consequences. The trial was short. The evidence was clear. Tiffany was convicted and sentenced to 18 months in prison. Derek was not charged with anything. He had not physically touched me. But in many ways his betrayal hurt more than the broken arm. He had stood there and watched. He had agreed with his wife's lie. He had chosen her over his own mother. After the verdict, Derek came to see me. He looked terrible. Unshaven eyes, red clothes wrinkled like he had been sleeping in them. He sat in my living room in the same spot where his wife had demanded I sign away my financial independence. "I am sorry," he said. I waited for more, for an explanation, for something that would help me understand how my son became this person. He stared at his hands. I did not know it would go that far. I never thought she would actually hurt you. But you did not stop her, I said. You did not help me. You did not even call an ambulance. Nancy had to do that. He started crying. Real tears, not the performative kind he used when asking for money. I know, he said. I know. I was scared. She controls everything. She tells me what to do, what to think, what to say. I have not been myself in years. But I had also learned something important. Love does not mean accepting abuse. Love does not mean enabling destruction. Sometimes love means holding people accountable for their actions, even when it breaks your heart to do so. I cannot just forget what happened, I said. I need to see change, real change, actions, not just words. He nodded. What do I have to do? You need help, I said. Professional help. You need to understand how you got to a place where you could watch your mother be assaulted and do nothing. And you need to do it for yourself, not just to get back in my good graces. He agreed. Whether he meant it or not, I could not tell. Then there was Marcus. With Tiffany in prison and Derek in crisis, my grandson needed someone. Child Protective Services contacted me. Tiffany's family wanted nothing to do with Marcus. Her parents, the ones who had lost all their money, blamed the boy for existing as if his birth had somehow caused their financial problems. Lorraine warned me about the responsibility. Taking care of a 10-year-old at my age with a recently broken arm was not going to be easy. Was I sure I wanted to do this? But I looked at Marcus, at his scared eyes and trembling lip, at the way he hugged me and whispered, I am sorry about Mom, Grandma. I am so sorry. He had nothing to apologize for. None of this was his fault. He was just a child caught in the middle of adult greed and violence. I agreed to temporary guardianship. We would figure out the permanent arrangement later. For now, Marcus needed stability, safety, a home where he would not be manipulated or used as a pawn. His first night at my house, I made him hot chocolate, and we sat on the porch watching the stars. He asked if his dad was going to be okay. I told him I hoped so. He asked if his mom was a bad person. That question was harder. Your mom made bad choices, I said carefully. Choices that hurt people. But that does not mean you are bad. You are not responsible for what your parents do. He nodded, slowly processing. Then he said something that made my heart ache. You are not going to send me away, are you? I pulled him close. Never, I said. You are my grandson. You belong here as long as you need to be here. He fell asleep on the porch, his head on my shoulder. I sat there for a long time, watching the stars, feeling the weight of everything that had changed in just a few weeks. $6 million. A broken arm. A son lost. A daughter-in-law in prison. A grandson now in my care. And somehow, despite all the pain, I felt something unexpected. Peace. Not because justice had been served, though it had. Not because I had won, because this was not about winning. But because I had finally stood up for myself. After years of giving and sacrificing and hoping others would change, I had drawn a line. I had said, this far and no further. 6 months passed. My arm healed, though it still ached on cold mornings. Marcus settled into his new school and made friends. His grades improved. He smiled more. He was healing too in his own way. I used some of the lottery money to establish the scholarship fund, the Eugene and Layla Memorial Scholarship for nursing students. Every year, 3 students at the community college would receive full tuition assistance. Eugene would have liked that. He always said nurses were the backbone of healthcare, the ones who did the real work of caring. I also donated to the hospital where I had worked for so many years, a new wing for the pediatric unit dedicated to the memory of Eugene. There was a small plaque with his name by the entrance. Every time I visited, I touched it and smiled. Lorraine came to visit often. Our relationship, already strong, grew deeper. We had been through something difficult together, and it bonded us in ways I had not expected. She helped me navigate the legal and financial complexities of managing the trust. She helped me understand that protecting myself was not selfish. Nancy remained my closest friend. She never asked for anything, never hinted about the money, never treated me any differently than before. That kind of friendship is rare. I made sure to tell her how much I appreciated her, how much her presence that terrible night had mattered. I also joined a support group for survivors of abuse by family members. It was not easy sitting in a circle with strangers sharing my story, but hearing others talk about similar experiences helped me feel less alone. I was not the only mother who had been hurt by her children. I was not the only grandmother caught in the middle of family dysfunction. Derek completed his treatment program after 4 months. The therapist diagnosed him with several issues related to his relationship with Tiffany. He had been in what they called a coercive, controlling relationship. He had lost his sense of self, his ability to make independent decisions, his connection to his own values. When he asked to see me, I agreed to meet at the park near my house. Marcus came too. It was the first time Derek had seen his son in months. The conversation was difficult. Derek apologized again, but this time it felt different. He was not asking for anything. He was not making excuses. He was taking responsibility, genuinely trying to understand what he had done and why. "I have been thinking about it a lot," he said. "About that night. About watching you fall and not doing anything. I keep seeing it over and over. I do not know how I became that person. Neither do I said honestly. But the question is who you want to become now." He looked at Marcus, who was playing on the swings a few yards away. "I want to be a father he can be proud of," he said, "and a son you do not have to be afraid of." It was a start. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, but a start. I told Derek he could visit Marcus on weekends, but only supervised, at my house with me present. Until he proved himself over time, I could not trust him with unsupervised access. He agreed without argument. Tiffany would be released in another year. I did not know what would happen then, whether Derek would go back to her, repeat the same patterns, whether she would try to come after me again. But I had protections in place now, legal safeguards, a support network, and most importantly, I had learned to put myself first when necessary. One evening, about a year after everything happened, Marcus and I drove to the cemetery where Eugene was buried. We brought flowers, sunflowers, because they were his favorite. Marcus helped me arrange them on the headstone. He had met Eugene only a few times as a baby, had no real memories of his grandfather. But I told him stories about how Eugene could fix anything with his hands, about his terrible jokes that always made me laugh anyway, about how much he would have loved Marcus. I talked to Eugene then out loud with Marcus listening. I told him about the lottery money, about what happened with Derek and Tiffany, about how hard it had been but how I had come out the other side stronger, about Marcus living with me now, bringing life back into a house that had been too quiet for too long. "You would be proud of me," I said. I stood up for myself, Eugene. Finally. After all those years of giving too much, expecting nothing in return, I learned to say no, to protect myself, to recognize when love becomes an excuse for exploitation. Marcus took my hand. "You are the strongest person I know, Grandma," he said. I looked at my grandson, at this beautiful child who had been through so much but was still kind, still hopeful, still capable of love. "No," I said. "The strongest thing I ever did was learn when to be soft and when to be steel. It took me 61 years, but I finally figured it out." We stood there for a while longer, the three of us in a way. Me, Marcus, and the memory of Eugene watching over us both. If you are listening to this story and you have been through something similar, I want you to know something. You deserve to be treated with dignity. By everyone, including your own children. Blood does not give anyone the right to hurt you, to take from you, to make you feel small and worthless. Setting boundaries is not abandoning your family. It is preserving yourself so you can actually be there for the people who treat you right. $6 million showed me who people really were, but it also showed me who I was. Stronger than I thought, more resilient than I imagined, capable of standing alone when I needed to. And in the end, I was not alone at all. I had Lorraine, I had Nancy, I had Marcus, I had the memory of Eugene and the future we were building together. That is worth more than any amount of money. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to cut ties with a family member who was hurting you? How did you find the strength to do it? Leave your story in the comments. I read every single one. Your experience might help someone else who is going through the same thing right now. If this story touched you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss more stories like this. And remember, protecting yourself is not selfish. It is survival. It is self-respect. It is the foundation of a life worth living. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And most importantly, thank you for being here. Until next time, take care of yourself, because you deserve it.